Morning, Facebook. Morning, Twisted Threads family. Good morning, YouTube family. I got to say good morning to more areas now that I am out here in a couple of places. So this morning, I try to get on here at least once a week to talk about a couple of things. So today, wanted to talk to you about the F word. Yeah, the F word. That's right. I said it, the F word. Wanted to talk to you about it because we've got some words in our vocabulary that really sometimes hinder us. They hinder us from doing the things that we might want to do. They hinder us from pushing forward with our ventures. And so, as I've mentioned before, and I mentioned many, many times, you'll see this video, I'm sure, with some others in a couple of places. But the challenge is we got one F word that we need to acknowledge. We need to acknowledge it so that we can talk about it. Yes, let's talk about it. The F word that I'm talking about is fear. There are many F words, and so I want to give us the opportunity to break down what these F words are. Yeah, we're going to talk about them all. Or we'll talk about a few today and maybe some more another time. How they impact our lives and what we can replace. Because, at the end of this, we're going to keep an F word. There's one F word that I think is very important to our growth and to us trying to move forward with getting the right things in our lives. So, first F word we're going to talk about is fear. Fear is a word that we don't often think about. We don't often think about how it affects our choices, how it affects the way that we think, how it affects our mindset. So a lot of times, we like the acronyms and we do different things. And so when we think about the acronym for fear, it is false evidence appearing real. So when we think about fear and what are the things, many of us won't go into new relationships because of fear. We won't start new businesses because of fear. We won't even move out from one apartment to a new apartment because of fear. We won't look for another job because of fear. All of these things are areas in our lives that can be affected because we become stagnant. It literally is. Fear becomes cement blocks on our feet that cause us to stay still. It causes us to stay in a place where we weren't intended to be. A lot of times it's okay for us to have experiences and say, okay, I'm stacking up my knowledge, I'm getting resources, I'm stacking up my paper for different things so that because usually if you got a large sum of money, you can make a greater impact on something. So whether it's a donation to an organization or it's for you to purchase a new home or for you to start a new business, whatever it is, that cash in pocket goes a long way. But what happens if you don't have that cash in pocket? Sometimes fear sets in, and it's like you think about all of the false evidence appearing real that gets in the way of your thought for pushing forward, And so some of us, we may be thinking about how fear keeps us stuck in relationships, how fear keeps us stuck in businesses. It starts small. Each step you take away from fear allows you to move to a different F word that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But I know that this particular F word really is just as damaging as some of the F words that we hear when we think about the profanity that people use. But when it comes to us being stuck, when it comes to us not doing the things that we possibly could be doing better because we're afraid. A lot of times you'll hear me say, do it afraid. Do it even if you're scared. Do it even if you're not sure how it needs to be done. The fact of the matter is, at least if you're doing it, you get to learn how to do it better. You get to learn how to do it well. But if you're not doing it and you're allowing fear to keep you stuck in a particular place, then you'll never see any benefit in your life at all. Like, that's for sure. So if you stay in fear and decide, I'm not going to, pursue another relationship or that last job. Oh my goodness, they did me so wrong. I'm not even going to be bothered with looking for jobs, or I need a time off. Now, everybody could use a time off. We could have our sabbaticals. Oprah said it's okay. So I guess that's a thing. But when it comes to us being stuck because we're afraid of what's next, It's not that we're going to fall off a cliff, and I honestly think in most times there can be no one more dramatic than me. But apparently I have quite a few of you friends on my list who you all are quite dramatic. And so when we're thinking about what is the worst that could happen, well, if you decide to pursue another career, the worst that could happen is you might need to figure out how to pay your rent. The worst that could happen is you may need to take a part-time job somewhere. The worst that can happen is usually not as bad as we make it seem. And so when we stop using that F word, fear, we get to then move into focusing on what it is. So we're just transferring. That's it. Wanting to be a resource for changing and shifting our thoughts and our minds. So when we move past fear, we get the opportunity to then focus on the goals that we want to set for ourselves. Focus on what are the things that we do well. A lot of times we disqualify ourselves and we think, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, learn how to do it. Let me tell you, there's YouTube, lynda.com, udemy.com. Just Google it. Like something will come up that will allow you to learn a new skill. So even though you don't know how to do it, it's fine. Like you definitely want to take an honest assessment of where you are, but you don't want your assessment to be fueled by fear. Well, what if they don't like you? Guess what? They may not, and do it anyway. I love the opportunity because there are certain messages that I send out, and somebody else might send out the same message. They may send out the same encouragement. And so they'll think, well, I don't want to write the book because that book is already there. Or I don't want to go live and say this because that person has already said it. There are billions and trillions of people in the world. I have a section of people that I will impact. You have a section of people that you will impact. But if you allow fear, false evidence appearing real, to come into your thoughts and stop you from being great, then no one will ever know about your greatness. No one will ever be inspired by you. And many of us have come through many hard trials, get my Yolanda Adams on, come through many situations that when we talk about it to people, people will be like, oh my goodness, I never knew. Good morning to you all who are joining. I thank you so much for taking the time to listen. The second F word that we're going to talk about right now is failure. And a lot of times we don't want to move forward because we've been in a failed relationship. We tried to do the things with the finances, and maybe there was a bankruptcy in our recent past. And we're like, oh no, I don't want to take on anything big again because that was just too much for me. But what did you learn from that failure? What did it teach you? Did you learn a lesson? Because usually if you don't learn a lesson from, we think of failure as, oh my goodness, it is the bottom. We hit rock bottom. Every failure is not a rock bottom experience. Some failures are just to teach you a lesson. The challenge is you better learn the lesson or it's coming back again. And you may have to experience failure again. But it's not a bad thing because each time you experience failure and you're learning the lesson, you're getting smarter, you're growing. I love it when I think about the time when my oldest granddaughter started learning how to ride a bike. And she was like, I'm learning how to ride a bike today. Now, other people, it's like, okay, it's going to take you a couple of weeks. We're going to learn how to ride a bike. She wanted to learn in one day. And we were like, well, then go ahead with your bad self, girl. Because why? The DNA says you can. If you believe you can, you will. She did teach herself how to ride that bike. And so uncle went and bought the bike and the helmet. And he was like, but I'm not getting out there with you. Like, she was like, well, I'll figure it out. And then another uncle said, well, I'm going to teach you an important lesson. And the lesson that he taught her was how to fall. How to properly fall off of a bike. Because y'all know you could break something, elbow, shin, all kinds of stuff going on, arms and everything. And so uncle decided, I'm going to teach her how to fall. And so a little bit was knocking her off the bike. Anyway, as she fell off the bike, the thing that he kept reminding her, get back up. But it wasn't just that he reminded her to get back up. He actually pulled her up. And so any of you who know my Ariel and Lamont, who's my youngest son, Lamont is very tall. And so he would yank her back up, and it'd be like, oh my goodness, what's going on? It looked crazy. He's like, okay, now fall again. And she fall, and then she'd be like, I don't want to fall. He's like, you're going to fall. So fall now. He taught her how to fall. And so one of the things when I come on here, and the reason why I launched the venture for Twisted Threads was I want to help people learn how to fall. Some of us think that failure is an end all to be all, and it's not. There are many things that I failed at. There are things that I'm probably failing out right now that I don't even know, and I'm okay with that. But failure just gives an opportunity for us to increase our focus. And so when we learn how to properly fall, it means that even if we did put all of our eggs in one basket, the next time we'll learn how to diversify. The next time we'll learn how to get somebody to help pick us up when we fall. So you get to create a team around yourself, and that's important. When you are trying to go after new ventures and do different things, because the challenge is you probably will be successful your first time around. But you got to plan for the what ifs. Why? That's wisdom. When you plan for the what ifs and you learn that I need a team of people. Why? So that if I fall, maybe somebody will catch me before I hit rock bottom. So that was the thing with Lamont, that when Ariel would fall, he would grasp her back up. She really didn't fall a lot. A few times he let her fall just because he's Lamont. But the lesson was there. So she took a whole day, decided she wanted to learn how to ride the bike. She got the equipment that she needed, the bike, the helmet, the pads, everything. She had the safe place that she knew she was going to ride the bike so that she wouldn't mess up people's property while she was wobbling and doing things differently. And so, we kind of let her go ahead and do her thing because she was determined that this was the thing that she was going to do in one day. We don't all have to have that same tenacity about completing something in one day. Sometimes it's going to take a little while. You got to learn how to do some things. So she had to take a couple of hours to learn how to fall. Then she had to take a couple of hours to learn how to pedal properly. Then she had to figure out, how am I going to see with this helmet on my head? All of those things. She didn't allow fear, false evidence appearing real, to come into her way. She then allowed the opportunity for her to focus her thought on, I'm going to ride this bike. So fear out of the way, she was able to focus. And then her uncle came in and taught her how to fall. That was that failure coming in. So all these F words that we're talking about today, that was that failure. And so when she started riding, she would fall. It was no longer a thing for her to be afraid to fall, because she knew what? Because uncle had taught her, it doesn't matter whether you fall, get back up. That was the lesson that we need to learn about falling. When we fall, when we see failure, when we are not successful in ventures the first, second, 15th time around, we've got to understand that the win comes in when we get back up. When we get back up and pursue it again. A lot of us saw in earlier years, maybe we didn't value education. Maybe life just got in the way and we weren't able to pursue our educational dreams the way that we wanted to. But it's something about being an adult and going back to school and finishing that thing that in our minds, we literally erase and expunge the previous failure that we thought that we had. When in fact, it wasn't a failure at all. Because I know for me, I had gone to school. I got a full scholarship. It was like, oh, what school you going to? The one that paid the money. So the school that paid the money and said, we want you to come here. I went there, but my value and my focus wasn't on education at that time. So it was a short time lived for me to pursue that education. And when that thing got hard, you know what I did? I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna be able to do that. And life happened. And so I needed to walk away from that. And it took me about 15 years to get back to the fact of, I'm going to pursue my education again. And then I kind of got addicted to it. I'm still a little bit, I'm an education junkie. So I love learning. I love learning new things. And hopefully that's the reason why you joined us today. Because yes, we will learn some things. As we go through these things in our life, we want to remember that even if we had to step away from a dream, it didn't mean that it died. It doesn't mean that it needed to be put away. Good morning, everybody who's joining us. Thank you so much for pressing on that play so that you would know what is this woman talking about? But we are on here. We've got Facebook Live, Twisted Threads. This will be on our YouTube channel. So we're excited about getting these messages out. But here's the most fun part. So we talked about fear and focus. We talked about failure and falling. Now we want to talk about the F word that we all need in our vocabulary. Now, probably, no other faith-based organization is going to say you need an F word in your vocabulary. I'm here to tell you, you need an F word. The F word that you need for today going forward is faith. Faith is the new F word. So I don't know what word you thought I was going to say, but the F word that we're focusing on is we've got to have faith in ourselves, faith in our dreams, faith that if it came to our mind and we can put the pieces together to make it come alive, that we push forward with putting that thing together. So that faith will help us overcome that fear. It'll allow us to see the real evidence and then be able to run after the things that we want to do. So whether it's the business, whether we're just trying to raise children or be in a successful relationship, allow our marriage to flourish in a particular way. These are things that you could focus on. They seem like everyday little goals, but the benefits of these things, like imagine if you don't raise your kids properly. That's a big deal because then they go out into society and they don't understand. I talked to one of my middle son and I talked to him about how easy it is to purchase a gun. If people don't value the life that the gun can destroy, then being in possession of the gun becomes a weapon all in itself because they never understood what the life was and why it was precious. And the fact that when you take it away, what's the consequence of snatching a life out of the universe? Something happens. Things get off balance, So interesting conversation that I had with him. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about that. As I mentioned, we got a radio talk show that's coming. Let's talk about it. And so these are the things that we'll be looking to do is talk about different conversations surrounding family and faith and finance. But today our focus is reminding us to exchange the F words in our life for things that allow us to push forward. So having faith gives us an opportunity to have faith in people because some of us have been hurt by folks. We got church hurt. We've got business hurt. Maybe, the boss used to treat us badly, or we've got certain mentalities that just block us from being able to expand our thoughts and our mindset to new and different challenges that we'll be able to face and overcome. Like the world is big and we've got a lot of chances to impact the lives of other people. And like I continue to mention, it was intentional for me to create the tagline for Twisted Threads. And the tagline is inspire, impact, and transform. Because we know that if you give people inspiration, then they'll be more in tune to impact the world around them. And while we impact the world around us, we not only transform ourselves, but we transform our communities, our jobs, our homes, our children, our schools. Everywhere we touch gets a transformation. And it's a great experience. I hope that you've enjoyed what I said today. If you have, like the video, share it. You'll see it, like I said, on different platforms because it is my focus and my goal to give the voice to encouragement, to give the voice to the hope that we want people to see, the hope that you should have in yourself, the hope that you understand that you're on this earth with a purpose. If you were born today, there's something that you're supposed to do today. Some of us, maybe it's to rest. Okay, some of y'all, I won't be the one on the resting part. But whatever it is, we've got another day today to do things better than we did them yesterday, to impact another life that maybe we weren't introduced to yesterday, to get somebody to think differently about what the F word. Because we're going to get rid of fear. We're going to get rid of our fear of failure. And we're going to push forward in faith, knowing that if we put our minds to it, if we create a team, if we move forward and get the resources that are available to us, again, Twisted Threads, get Twisted Threads to be a resource for you to help you set those goals, to help you move forward with achieving those goals. Then we can really celebrate some success. And then life would literally be a party for us because we're enjoying the success. As I mentioned, even though I had to leave school, and I withdrew from school. I never say dropped out. I don't know. I didn't drop out. I withdrew from school. When I came back, probably about 13 to 15 years later, I started small. And some of us need to think, what's my first baby step? because that first baby step literally shows our faith in ourselves, shows our faith in our dream, shows our faith in what we believe we might be capable of doing. And so I started it, and it was like, okay, I'm going to pursue my associate's degree. And I got that thing, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I should go more. And then I went and I pursued my bachelor's degree, and it was like, this is really awesome. And I said, I don't know about that master's degree. Like, it seemed big. And so fear came in, and it was like, refocus. So the way that I did it was, and some folks have heard the story, I took one course. I took one course at a time, and I said, I never even really committed in my mind to say I'm pursuing a master's degree. I said, I'm pursuing an experience. And so with me pursuing the experience, it allowed me to take one class, and then I excelled. I got an A in that class, so I thought I was smart, and I was like, let me take another one. What that allowed me to do was build up my confidence in myself. I had already completed the original goal. The original goal 15 years ago from then was that I would complete the studies that I started back in like 1991. I started in like 2004, re-pursuing that same dream. And then I ended that by like 2008. And it was like, okay, or 2011. I was satisfied. But then there was more that was open to me as I got to the end of that particular goal. And so that allowed me the opportunity. And by the time I took 2 classes, then it was like, okay, we're going to commit to this thing. But everything didn't get done, such in a pretty package. I was allowed to experience failure, and then I got back up. I was allowed to experience some falling, and then I got back up. And so that's what we're looking to do, is to inspire other people to not disqualify yourself from your dream. Don't disqualify yourself because you think, oh, well, my schedule doesn't allow me to go to school. Talk to, your employers. Talk to folks. Part of my education was paid for by my employer while I was at Lehigh University. Look, I love them for life because they paid for me. They paid for my children. Okay, a whole bunch of other things. But we want to inspire you because there are resources around you. And so maybe there are things that you never thought of, connecting with Twisted Threads, connecting with me. I'm trying to always put out a positive, encouraging message, but I also have a ton of resources and knowledge to share with folks on how do you get from that point A to point Z, really. And every day gives us an opportunity to think about different things. So get rid of the F word fear, get rid of the F word failure. Don't be afraid of falling. We are refocusing and setting our faith within ourselves. Build your team around you. We'll talk more about that, but hopefully you all have a great day. It's already a great day. I know the sun is shining where I am. My granddaughter tells me, Mimi, don't brag, but the sun is shining, and I just enjoy it. So I want to share that with you all. Have a sunshiny day. We'll see you on here real soon. Thanks, Facebook. Thank you, Twisted Threads. Thank you, YouTube, for joining in, pressing that button. It's the new F word. Have a great one.